So throughout Legends Festival, I have been dropping a lot of guides and updating guides and things like that. And today we're going to talk about the best tips and tricks and how to build your best teams in DBL. I mean, Dragon Ball Legends has a ever-evolving landscape of characters and climates and things like that. Things are always changing, and I like to drop back in once every 6 or so months and drop another one of these videos so you guys get the most up-to-date information. And this time around, we have these brand new limited Z abilities, which are not the most impactful thing, but they are something that you would want to take into consideration. So if this is your first time here on the channel, we'd love to have you subscribe and stick around for more content like this, where we're going to explain how to build your best teams possible for you specifically and your bots. Also, about 40% of you guys aren't subscribed, so again, remember, subscribe if you're new and hit that thumbs up. The like goal for today, 3,000. All right, so let's hop right in. So for today's video, we're going to be building multiple styles of teams, and you guys are going to have to follow along with me. And in the very beginning here, I need to explain numerous things, such as Z abilities, the new limited Z ability I talked about, Zenkai abilities, also character tags, all these different things that kind of mesh into how you're going to build your team, right? So first and foremost, I'm not going to explain this too much, but you should know every character has multiple different identifiers, whether that's the rarity being Sparking, Extreme Hero, whatever, Ultra as well, or the color. This guy's a green character technically, but they do have a reverse element, which I can maybe elaborate on a little bit later. So green, purple, red, blue, you get the point. Also, melee type on this character. Take note of the melee. Why? Because you don't typically, when it comes to building teams in this game, want to mix and match melee and blast/ranged characters all too often. You want to stick with a melee-based team that is primarily melee-based, but can incorporate defense types or support types. And you want to do the same thing with ranged instead of melee. You don't want to mix and match all too much, and there are numerous reasons as to why. First and foremost, the Z abilities may not be great for either side of it, the equation. Maybe you have like a blast attack and blast defense. That's like not great for the other character. If a character is particularly good at something, you want to min-max that. You don't want to try to bring up something that they're deficient at to a reasonable level when they could be so much better if you min-max what they're actually good at. Understand? All right, so I mean, you can build your teams however you want. Don't mind me, but that's typically the philosophy that I and most players following the game do follow, or playing the game do follow. Also, sometimes the ratio of cards held can be kind of wonky if you choose like a ranged character. Maybe they'll have double blasts, right? And some melees will have double strikes if you're trying to build a ranged team, and just things like that that can throw off the overall deck, right? Because when you start up the battle, you may notice when you're on the party select screen and you're choosing your characters, a little bit above them, there's icons for each of the cards, and as you click them, they add different cards into your deck. So if you're trying to run a melee team and you got all these blast cards, you're not ever going to really draw strike cards. So, you get the point. All right, so next thing to explain is character tags and also episodes. So episode at the very top here, these are identifiers for what your team is going to be based around. Because in this game, when you build a team, they are centered around episodes or tags. And you can kind of just consider it all to be the same thing. But again, just an identifier. So this guy's from the Shadow Dragon Saga. I don't think there are any Z abilities that specifically buff Shadow Dragon Saga characters. But there are them that are going to buff GT or Saiyans, Super Saiyan 4, Super Saiyan Rose. There are tags for all that stuff, but they're irrelevant in terms of actual tags. And the reason why tags are important, though, in general, is because the Z abilities, as you see here, this one's calling out GT and Saiyan characters. So there's that. And by the way, if you're a GT Saiyan like this Goku is, you're not getting this ×2 if you're confused about that. It's just either or, right? So if you're one of these, you don't get both, right? Anyway, moving on. So there are also going to be instances where these characters, in what they do, are going to call out, oh, apply X effect when I have a full team of GT battle members, or apply X effect when the enemy has all Saiyans, or I'm versus a Sun family character. Like, there are different call outs and different reasons why the identifiers exist, and the way that the characters interact can change on a per character basis. So, all right, now that we've explained that, we're going to go back to the Z ability. This is the single most important thing that you need to understand when it comes to building your team. I kind of elaborated on it a little bit just a moment ago, but to further elaborate, your teams are built around this. Each character has this passive bonus they're going to apply to themselves and all of the characters that fit the criteria that they're offering. Some characters are going to say tags, some are going to say episodes, like Universe Survival Saga is a pretty common one that gets buffed there. Some are going to say colors, like green element exclusively, like any green character would get a bonus, things like that. Some are going to have some mix and match where it's like tag and color, like, so it just kind of depends on the character. But this is the most important factor of it all. Now, before we move on, I want to explain and talk about this. Legends Limited exclusive characters are characters that have the legendary finish, like this Goku and Vegeta, and they just got this bonus here where they're doing limited Z abilities. Now, quick note on this. This was talked about. It just came out a couple of months ago. This was talked about as being better / more impactful than it actually is. In their pre-release patch notes, they were talking about it and hinting at it. So I don't know if this is going to change in the future. It could, right? It could very well change. But these stats do go up as you increase the limit breaks / number of stars in your character. So for me, currently, this character's got 5%. So offering the team allies. Okay, so here's another thing. Anytime you see allies on an effect, unless it says allies other than this character, allies applies to that specific character. In this case, it would be Goku and Vegeta that would be getting this too. So on a team full of Legends Limited characters, you would be getting this. Now, it also specifically notes that when this character is a battle member, so if you want to get this Goku and Vegeta's bonus, they actually have to enter the battle. Now, here's where things are kind of fun. You may be saying, well, isn't that an obvious thing? Well, if I build a team, we're on GT right now, so just bear with me, and I put 3 more GTs in there, and we're only taking 3 into the battle, well, what does the other 3 characters wind up doing? What do they wind up doing? Do they have any relevance or significance at all? Some may say no if they're new to the game, but vets will tell you, yes, they do. They actually have a lot of significance. I'll explain a bit about those in a minute. But it's because the Z abilities from all the characters are applied to your team if the criteria is fitting. If they are not a battle member, they do not enter the battle, the Z ability does still apply. However, that specific ability that we kind of looked at a moment ago, that limited Z ability, if you don't take the character that's applying it into the battle, they're not going to get it. Now, that's very different than Zenkai abilities and Zenkai buffing characters, which we'll talk about in a minute. So that is a big deal. Now, I also, since he's here, Ultra as a rarity is something that I don't know was in my last guide, most likely. But anyway, Ultra's been out for a few years, so probably. So Ultras also have their own Ultra ability. And again, these are kind of interesting because the way that they're designed is they want to have specific teams. I mentioned how specific characters are going to have callouts, right? So plus 5% damage inflicted by allies per GT battle member when the battle starts. So that means on a full GT team, that's 15%. So when the battle starts, if you take 3 GT characters in, himself included, that's 15%. And it's by allies, so all his team's going to get that. This is actually a kind of unique Ultra ability. Additional 10% to own damage inflicted per GT support member up to 30. What is a support member? It's the ones that don't go into battle. So on a full 6 GT character team, he himself is getting 45, and that works out pretty well, right? So that's an Ultra ability. A lot of the Ultra abilities, though, he's got a unique one. A lot of them are going to say the character themselves only gets a certain buff based on being on a certain team. Like I think Vegito Blue, for example, says that same style of effect, but get 30% extra damage and key recovery on a full Fusion Warrior team. And if you start taking pieces away, that buff gets lower. I think it's 25 and 20. It's in increments like that. So that's something to consider. Now, the way you bypass that is with that first slot. You notice how the first slot says leader. That's not any special designation. I didn't do anything fancy to get that. Like if I just change this, it's specific to that spot. And what happens in that first spot is actually very, very strong. So the character in the first spot, if they go into the battle, they have to enter the battle for this to happen, will apply their Z ability to the entire team, and they will pull Z abilities from the entire team as well. So if you had, let's just do this. We're going to leave Baby there. We're going to pull up Rival Universe, right? A team that most likely isn't really going to offer anything to him. Look, he's not flashing ever. He's not getting anything. He will get that Jiren one. We'll put Casserole. So we're going to put Baby there. And so this is a team that has relative synergy across the board with all their Z abilities, right? They've got a bunch of effects popping off right now because they're all from the same grouping. Universe Survival Saga, Universe Reps, etc. So Baby, though, he doesn't have any synergy with them. He's from an entirely different part of Dragon Ball. And he's only offering his Z ability to GT and regeneration characters. Well, none of those characters are that, so they don't get it, but Baby also isn't in that group, so he doesn't get it. So you notice how these are all grayed out. But they do say in red, the leader, when they enter the battlefield as a battle member, will get all of these, even if they don't meet the conditions. If they don't meet the criteria, the character in the leader slot will pick up those. And even further, the same thing is on all the other characters. They will then get Baby's Z ability. The leader slot is super impactful. It's unfortunate that it's been kind of manipulated in a way where you can kind of put your best character on any team. Like, say the best character in the game for right now is just like, let's just say Ultra Vegito Blue once again. He's not, but let's just say that as an example. You would put him in the leader slot on this team, for example, and he would be super relevant here. Super relevant, not irrelevant. Super relevant here, despite this not actually being his team. Makes sense? You can put him on any team you want and have it synergized perfectly. So, yeah, once upon a time, we did not have that leader slot. And like I said, it's cool for stuff where you're trying to build, wonky teams or trying to have fun, be creative. But ultimately, unfortunately, it just leads to people putting their best character on whatever team. So anyway, moving on. So we explained leaders, we explained Z's, all that stuff. So sorry it took a while, but I really wanted to get the basics out of the way. And if you've enjoyed thus far, be sure to subscribe. And if you skipped ahead, well, this is a fun part. Let's actually finally dive in to building teams. So now that we've explained all the basics and we're on Universe Survival, I want to just kind of jump from here with Universe Survival and keep it going. So now, the first thing to kind of understand, this is Universe Survival, this is Rival Universe. The first thing to understand when it comes to building a team is you need to pick a specific character or characters, let's just say that you're going to build your team around. You need to know who are 2 to 3 characters, or 1 to 2, I think, is the actual ratio that you want to build your team around, that you want to primarily focus on. And this is where your own creativity and philosophy is going to shine through. Are you somebody that wants to have 3 win conditions, 3 hard hitters, 3, you want to have utility, you want to have support, you want to have all these different things? I'm not here to really tell you how you specifically want to build your teams. I would personally say that I like to have 2 win conditions / damage dealers and a 3rd character that's either a support or tank or things like that offers utility / disruption to my team to help me be more efficient, right? Because maybe that 3rd character that's also a damage dealer doesn't provide all those other things that you could use, like in a defensive wall or things like that, to really help you out in your overall endeavor to win the game, right? So there's that. So that's my way I would like to do it. I like to go 2 and 1. You can also go 1 damage dealer and 2 support / defense / utility characters. That one can get kind of tricky because you're really reliant on that one character to try to win the game for you. And it just kind of depends. So oftentimes the character you're going to build your team around is going to be the best character in whatever tag group, or maybe even the best character in the game. I think this is probably the best character in the game right now, so we're going to build a team for them live in today's video. So to kind of start with them, they're a ranged type, and I didn't really talk about it, but I will now. They're a tag character. Tag characters are a duo / characters with 2 and 1, right? 2 and 1. And what happens with them is a little bit different because it kind of varies, but this character's got green as the base typing on Vegeta. You start with Vegeta, he's green. And then when you meet the criteria, you can flip to Goku, and Goku's actually reverse green. There are reverse elements, and what happens is typically green is weak against purple, strong against blue. Reverse is the exact opposite. So this character's going to be weak to blue, strong on purple. That has utility, also has his weaknesses. You get the point. So we're going to start off with them. We're going to leave them on our team. The base character is still green, so you want to have a way to counter / cover the purple weakness. So I would specifically from there grab a yellow. And I'm going to grab Frieza. I think Jiren's actually a phenomenal yellow still as well, but I'm going to grab Frieza for today's purpose. And yeah, actually, I think they're really close in terms of like which one you think is better. Which do you think is better? Let me know. At least right now at the time of the recording. Frieza just came out on the banner for context, if you watch this video down the road. So we're going to start with Frieza, and Frieza's also a ranged type, so that works out pretty well. We start off, we take a look at here. See, this is what I was talking about. Frieza's putting 2 blasts in the deck, and Goku and Vegeta can kind of use either card effectively. Doesn't really matter a ton, but they do have a preference because the stats are just a little bit higher, and it's going to work out a little bit better, and they're going to put that blast damage card as well in the deck, so that works out too. So you've got those 2, and who's a good third? Now, this guy's also a ranged character, also as a, so this is where things also are kind of fun. If you're going to take these 3, you also have 2 Legends Limited characters. Depending on the stars, you're going to get the bonuses from that, like from the Limited Z ability we talked about. He's also a ranged character, but he's also a character, so he's a character that can specifically be a damage dealer, can sometimes win you games, but he also has a lot of utility and defensive mechanics built in, right? So that's kind of where things are interesting with this guy. For the record, Frieza does too, and Goku and Vegeta do too a little bit, but Frieza has a lot too, where he hits certain HP benchmarks, certain things pop off. Most of the best characters can do some of the stuff, like some of the same stuff, and kind of blend into other roles. But there are still dedicated role characters that do those roles better than most other characters, basically. So anyway, that's a really strong trio. awesome color synergy, also awesome, it's okay color synergy, also good typing synergy, all that stuff, right? Color synergy, if you're not sure what that is I like to have 3 characters that specifically can counter each other's weakness. So it would be something like having a purple character that would be yellow, that would be weak to yellow, and you'd run a red as well, but he'd be weak to blue, so you'd run a green. So purple, red, green counters those weaknesses. Does that make sense? This team also has a little bit of that, but it's kind of doesn't really matter a ton because Goku and Vegeta can technically cover their own weakness. So there's that. So how would I fill out the rest of this team? I personally love to run HPZ abilities. I like to have that extra bulk on my characters. And then from here, you have a couple of other options. This is where things get a little bit interesting as well. I have yet to talk about, and we will now, Zenkai buffing characters. I had a question recently where it was, what is Zenkai buffing? How does that work? Do you want to do it? If possible, yes, you do. I don't really, so you'll see I think I was actually the originator of this, but it doesn't matter. You'll see a lot of creators on the platform do 3 times Zenkai buff showcases, 4, 5, 6, whatever the number is. As you add more, the less value you actually get out of it, because the way that the math breaks down, your character doesn't all of a sudden just blow up everything in one hit no matter what. Like, it doesn't really work like that, despite the number getting high. In fact, the reason we do those is because people are interested and they they pop off the screen and they're kind of like clickable, right? It's very obvious. So what is Zenkai buffing? Here's a look at it. You don't even have it. We'll just go back to Vegeta. So Vegeta applies this bonus on his Zenkai ability, plus 40, 35, 40, 35. This number does go up as you raise his Zenkai level. He's level 7 right now, so this is the maximum for him. So increases the following stats of characters that are Yellow and Vegeta Clan. This exclusively applies to Yellow Vegeta Clan characters only. It will not apply to a Yellow character that's not Vegeta Clan, or a Vegeta Clan character that's not Yellow will not get this either. Again, Yellow Vegeta Clan only, like himself and other characters that do fit that criteria, they would get 40 and 35. Now, unlike the limited Z abilities or the leader slot Z ability, this character does not actually have to enter the battlefield. So if I had another character, let me just change this up just so it makes a little bit more sense. Do you? Nope, you don't. You? Maybe you do. The Topo's not done, but maybe he does. He does not. Oh, he does. Okay. So just so this makes more sense. So we're going to put you there, and we'll just throw in one more to fill out our team and call. I could use Kefla, I believe, too, and call it a day. We'll just put Goku and Frieza, whatever. Ignore them. So we're going to take the top 3 in the battle, and when we go in, we're going to get these limited Z abilities. So we're going to get 7, 5, 5, 7. You're going to get all this stuff because the top row. Actually, we're not going to get that last one. We're going to get these 2 because 2 characters are going to be LF/Legends Limited. We're going to get these Z abilities from all the characters on my team, right? And then Topo will be applying this buff to Green Universe Rep tag characters. This character, Goku and Vegeta, do have the Universe Rep tag. So when they enter, they are going to get this bonus as well. So should you do this? Yes, you're going to get a lot of bonuses out of this. Also, if you can find a way to do it on a character like this that has a really strong Z ability too, because Topo has double attack to this saga, Universe Survival Saga, that's a really strong bench buffer. That's what we call those, bench buffers / Zenkai buffers. That's a really strong one. So if you can find a way to do that, not all of them are created equal, but if you can do that, you should. And like I said, I probably wouldn't go above like 2, and that would probably be it. So Kefla is a weird one because she's like a little bit of a different case. She's not a strong Z ability buffer. This character would get it because they're in the leader slot, in which case I would probably move them out of the leader slot for the record, just so another character can get this buff as well. But it's not even like it's a single stat buff. This is very outdated style Z ability, but she is applying that Zenkai buff here. So now all of a sudden they're getting 2. They're getting Topo and Kefla, right? So use at your discretion, but I would probably not go above 2 in most team builds, particularly if you start losing Z abilities. So that's more or less my philosophy, and you saw that we built out mostly a range team. If we want to go ahead and min-max from there, though, it will be with range-style Z abilities or double attack Z abilities, things like that. But Z abilities are going to do that. You're not going to put this guy in. I think actually he has a double attack one, in fact. I think he actually does have one. But he has this first part of his effect where characters are going to get extra strike damage. Yeah, double attack. I guess you could do him, actually. But you would probably want to put somebody like this Green Frieza who applies a blast version of that, plus blast arts damage to the saga, / tag, and then also the Z ability too. Does that make sense? So that's more or less what Zenkai buffing is. That's also an idea on Z abilities and synergies and things like that. So let's go ahead and build another team here. We're going to build a melee sagas from the movies team. So the teams I'm showing you in today's video are variants of the best possible teams right now. And these characters are all really, really strong. So we have Ultra Janemba. I talked about how Ultra abilities are a little bit different. So as you see, his Ultra ability is specific to regeneration. So if he's on regen, he will get these bonuses, 5% per regen ally on his team. Up to 3 support members will be counted. But if he's in the leader slot, none of that condition stuff matters. So you can just make him automatically get extra 30% damage and then key recovery as well by flat out being in the leader slot. So you can make that happen for him pretty well. Ultimate Gohan transforms into Beast Gohan. Very, very strong character, obviously, and it is what it is. So we're going to leave him there too. And then this is where things get kind of fun. You can provide support / utility with that Piccolo. You can put a tank on your team, things like that. Now, this is where my philosophy is kind of introduced. A lot of times I like to do something like this, where I've got 5 characters of all colors. I've yet to talk about this, but 5 characters, 1 representing each color. Can you do this and be successful? Yes. Yes, you can. Should you? It goes back to the idea of min-maxing and also the idea of Zenkai buffing. Now, on this team specifically, the Z abilities are pretty strong overall, so I think you can get away with it personally. At my limit breaks and all that stuff, like the Z abilities are strong, and I would probably plug like EX Goku in there for some more HP on my team, or even Red Pan would work too. I think maybe Red Pan would probably be better. Anyway, so you could just do something like that, and it works out pretty well. But if you don't plan on using each of these characters like varying per game, maybe you have room to take one of them off, and you only need 4 characters, 3 main and 1 alternative that you would use, right? It doesn't have to be Piccolo. Maybe you take Gotenks off. It's up to you. Maybe you take the other Piccolo off. It's up to you. And then in that case, you have more room to also have another character on your team that could either provide a strong Z ability if you're lacking them, or a strong Z ability and Zenkai ability combo, which is also something you could do. And when it comes to Zenkai buffing, by the way, like I can provide Piccolo with one from the purple Broly. I don't see him, but I can provide Piccolo with this one. And this is a strong double attack Z ability. I think the stats are a little bit lower than they would. 30 is okay. You can pass with that. I could provide Piccolo with the Zenkai buff plus the Z ability on himself and the entire team, but he's not a damage dealer. He's a support character, utility character. This is pretty wasted. You would probably focus on doing the Zenkai ability bonuses on your main characters that you would want to use. So keep that in mind too. So yeah, that's more or less an idea on what team synergies look like. And if we take these top 3 in particular, we see right here, Janemba's got 1-in-1. He's a melee character, works out pretty well. And you're going to see sometimes in these characters where they want to have certain conditions met because they're going to apply certain bonuses to their allies, things like that, based on the team that they're using. A lot of the best characters, by the way, do have a ratio of 1-in-1, and this is why I say that you can kind of mix and match. I just wouldn't really do it, but you can if you just want to get by, right? You can do mix and match. A lot of the best characters do have 1-in-1, and that's something that they fixed, because once upon a time they were so heavy trying to nerf characters that they would give melee characters 2 blast cards. That's like the most useless thing ever. At least give them 1-in-1 or 2 strikes. Don't give them 2 blasts. They don't do that anymore, but a lot of the best characters though can be successful. So I want to kind of build, to wrap things up, a little bit of a mixed team. So right here, this is an example of Sun Family, but we have Janemba in the leader slot. So Vegeta is a part of Sun Family. I know it's kind of weird, but because this character is Goku and Vegeta, they have both family tags. So if you like play Dokkan, the character would have neither. And Dokkan, with their categories, if it's like Gohan and Krillin, they don't have anything. They don't got either, because it's both characters, as opposed to this game where they got both tags, right? So this character is technically a Sun Family character, so there's that, right? So it also Goku's on Vegeta Clan, right? So you can do that, and this is an example of putting your best character, Janemba, one of the best characters still in the game, in the leader slot, and going from there. You could do something like this, by the way, before I make any changes. That just works out pretty well. So, but also we already have a blend going on where we got a couple melees and a ranged character. So if I were to do something like this, what would I do to fill out the rest of the team? I would probably look for Zenkai ability buffers that are double attack or double defense. Like ideally double attack because you want to do more damage, but also I like to have the bulk too, so you can do with either. You can do single attack, single defense on one character, things like that. I personally would probably skew more towards going double, right? Double stat increases I'm going to go ahead and sort out and look for exclusively Zenkai Awakened characters. And we're going to look for red and green and see what applies to my characters. So you can go into these characters individually if you don't directly know what they do. But I, for the most part, know what all these characters do, despite, you know, recent evidence earlier in the video. Gohan here is going to apply his buff to Gohan, his Zenkai ability, and it's only a single stat blast based one. Janemba does not love this. He does not love that. So we would try to, again, skew more towards double attack. But I think if you have one of these, it's okay. You can make do with that. I would look for a double attack one, though, for greens, which I am right now live in the video not seeing double attack specifically. And this is where things get kind of wonky. I would probably not choose Janemba as the third for this team anyway. I kind of just left him in, but I would probably not do that. So let's just go ahead and just live in the video, drop him out. We'll put you there. We'll move Gohan to the lead. We'll move Gohan to the lead, and we'll pull up Sun Family. This is what we'll do. And I think we're going to put Goku and Frieza, probably. Sun Family here. And so our next best character is kind of up to you which one you want to use. But I would probably just put you there. And so you're in a situation where you got two melees, also one ranged. And there's no Z ability buff or no Zenkai ability buff there on them, so we can also apply one there. And a lot of people are going to build teams that are built in this style of fashion, where they do have the Zenkai buffs going on for 3 characters, one at a time. We can do that. So now Goku and Frieza have one. They have double defense there, and then Gohan in the front has one. Now, quick disclaimer: if I were to dig through all these characters, you could probably find actual better ones. But and for the purpose of today's video, trying to be quick, we can do something like this. So now if I were to use those top 3, this is what we have. We have the 3 limited Z abilities on those characters, 5 and 7% splits. We've got the strike attack and strike defense from Ultimate Gohan. We've got the blast attack and strike defense. While Gohan also is in the leader slot, he's going to be getting that strike attack buff that was exclusive to God Key characters. Goku and Frieza will not get that, of course, but the tag themselves will get it. Goku and Frieza are providing a strike attack and defense and blast defense, which Gohan would be getting, and the tag as well would be getting the other Goku and Vegeta tag. The Youth Gohan, Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, is offering blast attack, but also that Zenkai ability here. So again, probably can find, well, there are better ones, but it's just more or less, is there a better one that has synergy with Z ability on this team as it's currently constructed, right? For the record, this team would be easier to build if Gohan was 6-star, because I think at 6-star he picks up a Sun Family Z ability that I don't currently have. So anyway, we take a look at the other Goku here, the green one offering double defense, and then the last Goku, the UI Goku, he's offering blast attack and defense to the team. So I personally would probably like to skew a little bit more with maybe one more offense, one more strike attack buff on this team. There's a lot of like blast on this team, which is fine, but maybe one more strike attack buff would be good instead of one of these characters. So we have that Zenkai ability from Gohan, we have one from Goku, and then the other Goku is applying one here to Goku and Frieza, and that works out pretty well. So all in all, that team can get by. I think that could be fine. But I think if you were going to go triple character, I put my best 3 characters on the team, you may be better off going 2 damage dealers, 1 support / utility character, like I kind of explained earlier, right? In which case, if we were to make a tweak to this team, we could do something like this, where we put Goku and Vegeta in the leader slot. Now this is going to wind up being basically a movie saga team, and that would also be pretty strong, wouldn't it? So let's go ahead and grab the sagas from the movies. And now I have a little bit more wiggle room with the other things that I would like to apply to this team. So I can grab you. You're going to Zenkai buff the Gotenks, but not give Gotenks the Z ability because he's not on the Sun Family. But you will get the Zenkai buff, so that's fine, whatever. But you will get also that Z ability on the other characters, so that's good. And I can from here also grab a red one for Gohan. I think Gohan's best one is the Great Saiyaman 1 and 2, which I'm not seeing currently. They're in here somewhere. There they go. Now, the only problem with that specific setup is you've got double defense going on 2 characters. I'm not sure that that's something you would want to do. I personally probably would like to skew more towards a little bit more of an offensive outlook, but I'm looking more towards that. And the other option is the Janemba, but he offers that single stat increase. You can do Janemba and it would work out too, right? So you can do that. So that works. I guess we could go with that just so we don't have too much. Actually, that's triple double defense because Gotenks also has double defense on the Z ability. We would have a really bulky team, wouldn't we? And then we're going to plug in Pan as well. And that works out pretty well because we also get both of Pan's Z abilities and all these characters. And all of a sudden, we've got a really solid team, I think. So that's more or less an idea on how team building works in Dragon Ball Legends. I thought that we explained basically everything from the basics to more advanced measures like trying to use Zenkai buffs and how you can build different varieties of teams and things to look forward to when it comes to building your teams out. So I hope you guys enjoy, and if you did, be sure to subscribe for more, and I'll see you all next time.